In this episode, I talk to you about how to pay down your credit cards in 3 years or less. Let's get started.
Joining us this morning is Edward Sanchez, president of Money Sharp.
Hey everyone, this is Edward Sanchez. Welcome back to the Money Sharp Show. This is episode 9. Episode 9, feeling good. I want to talk to you about, as the intro stated, paying down credit cards. And some of you may be thinking, well, that's easy enough. You just pay the credit card off at the end of the month, or you pay it every month and you don't carry a balance. But again, I've been doing this. I've been working with consumers struggling with finances since 1999, okay? And I see clients that come to us with $7,000 in credit card debt, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000 in credit card debt. And I see this, and so not everyone is in a position where they have the tools or the faculty to pay off a credit card right away. But once you learn how the payoff works and how you get pulled into carrying a higher balance, then you'll be able to not only pay off the debt faster, but certainly position yourself so you minimize the amount of interest you pay to the credit card companies. So let me take it back a little bit, okay? If anyone has a credit card balance now and you had a balance on your credit card prior to 2008, you remember that in 2008 your credit card payments, for the most part, nearly doubled, okay? And what happened was some people were marketing on TV, and you'd see ads saying, oh, the credit cards are trying to take your money. They're doubling your minimum monthly payments. The credit cards had to double your minimum monthly payments, and they did not want to, okay? The industry rule in 2008, Congress went back and forth, and they finally passed a bill where they would force the lending industry, the credit card industry, to carry a minimum monthly payment of 4% of your balance, okay, for your credit card. So how is your minimum monthly payment determined? How is that calculated? Whatever your balance is, if it's $500, if it's $5,000, 4% of that should be your monthly payment. And that's what should be on your statement. But it's not. I will tell you right now that the industry standard, regardless of what happened with that bill, the banks and lenders are very, very, very creative and resourceful, and they work their way around how they don't have to adhere to that rule. And I'll tell you in a minute why they don't want you to pay 4%. But let's take another step back, okay? If you look at your statement, what you want to do is just pull up your statement, whatever it may be, open it up, and then it'll have your balance and your minimum monthly payment. Now, if you take your minimum monthly payment and divide it by your balance, you'll get the percentage. And more than likely, I'm going to tell you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in the neighborhood of 1 to 2% is what you're paying. Now, if you're paying 1 to 2% every month on your credit card balance, it will take you more than 30 years to pay off the credit card, and it doesn't matter if it's a balance as low as $1,000. It'll take you more than 30 years, which means you're paying a ton of interest. Now, if it's a $5,000 balance or a $7,000 balance and you're paying just 2%, again, it's going to take you 30 years and you're paying more interest. So take a close look at your credit card statement if you're carrying a balance. Take the minimum monthly payment divided by the balance. That's going to give you the percentage. Now, 4% is what you want to pay on the credit cards. And 4% as a minimum, okay, you would think between 2% and 4% is going to blow that number out of the water. I'm not paying more to my credit cards because I don't have any additional income, or my budget's really tight, and so how can I pay more to my credit cards? Well, we go through a number of different strategies. We do an audit, we do financial review, we do a monitor of our clients' budgets to see where we can find the resources that they're bringing home, where they're losing money in their budget that we can make work for them. So everything that we do with our clients, we focus on what's coming home right now, not if come, which is what many people talk about. If you did this, if you did that, if you did that, or if you only got more clients or whatever the case is. We don't base our plans and strategies on if come. We base them on income, what is coming in, and without working overtime, without working a second job. What do you have to work with? How do we help you position yourself to pay down your debt in the cheapest and fastest way possible? So we find those additional resources, and what we do is we take your monthly payment, the balance on your credit card statement, and multiply that by 0.04 with your calculator or your smartphone, the calculator inside your smartphone, 0.04, and that gives you your new minimum monthly payment. If you use that amount, you're going to pay your credit card off between 3 and 5 years. And it still may sound like a long time, but I will tell you that I've seen clients struggle paying off their credit cards for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, only to have the same amount of debt, if not more. Now, why? Because they're working 2 jobs, making those minimum payments that are determined by the banks. So don't listen to the minimum monthly payment that's on the statement preset by the lender. You set your own minimum monthly payment and you find it within your budget. Don't send them the 1.5%, the 2%, the 2.25% that they're asking you for. You're going to pay into infinity. Send them at least 4%. And again, you may feel like that's going to skyrocket or balloon your monthly payment. It won't. It's just a fraction of an uptick, and you'll see that the end game is you're able to pay off your debt a lot faster. And not only are you paying it faster, you're saving on the interest that you pay out. See, in the early 80s, the Diners Club credit card was the golden standard. This was the black card of the time. And this meant that you were a big deal. You were extended credit. You're able to use that Diners Club at a restaurant. Pretty big deal, okay? So the credit card industries, we're looking at 40 years now. But when it was really starting to take off to more consumers was in the early 80s, Diners Club. Now, the credit card industry learned very quickly that people were tied to their minimum monthly payments. So if your monthly payment had already hit a level of $20 or $40, people were not borrowing more on the credit card because they knew that they couldn't afford to pay more than $40 a month. They wouldn't overspend. So even though I had a more available credit on the credit card, I wouldn't borrow more because I couldn't allow my monthly payment to go up. And at that point, your minimum monthly payment was actually 5% of your balance. 5% of your balance was your minimum monthly payment, and that was an industry standard. So what the lending industry was trying to figure out, the banks were saying, listen, we have a great product, a tremendous product. It's credit. We want more people to use more credit. And we'd like to make more money while we're at it. So how can we do this? How can we entice, how can we motivate people to borrow more on their credit cards? So what they figured out was to take your minimum monthly payment from 5% down to 2%. Okay? And there are still some credit card companies out there that are under 2%, under 1%. Those 0% APR credit cards have you paying in reverse. Okay? Those are incredibly dangerous. So in the early 80s, they took your minimum monthly payment from 5% to 2%. So if you had a $1,000 balance, your minimum payment was $50, and then the next month, when they changed this, you saw that your monthly payment was $20. What this let the consumer know is like, wow, hey, I can actually borrow more because I'm not hitting that $50 max anymore. I can borrow more. And so what happened was, when you take the minimum payment down to 2%, it takes the consumer longer to pay off the debt. And the longer you pay, the more interest you pay. So that generates a lot of interest for the banks. That's win number one. Win number two is that consumers started borrowing more because there was room within that minimum monthly payment. Okay, so it was a double win. Not only could they consumers to use their product even more by borrowing more, but because they paid slower. And it's very counterintuitive. You would think, logically, if I lend somebody money, I want them to pay me back faster. But at these interest rates, it's incredibly profitable to have somebody slow pay you because of the interest on these accounts. So look at your bank statements, look at your credit card statements specifically, and divide the monthly payment by the balance. That's going to tell you what percentage you're paying. And you'll notice by just making a minor adjustment, a couple dollars, $8, $9, it could be $17 or $24, it'll take your minimum payment up to 4%, and that's going to help you pay down that balance within 3 to 5 years instead of 30 years, which is this long. And it saves you, I mean, I've seen a $5,000 credit card when it's all said and done, paying to the credit card company over $30,000 of pure interest because the payment plan is based on the minimum payment set by the bank. So don't do that. This is how you can pay it off 3 to 5 years. It's important to understand this. And so what happened in 2008, the minimum payment went up. But again, the banks figured out, listen, we're leaving a lot of profit. We're taking it off the table if we're allowing consumers to pay the credit cards off even faster. So things like 0% interest started being introduced, because if you're not paying interest on it, then they don't have to, they're not bound by that 4% rule. So then you can pay into the credit card actually in reverse. So every month when you pay on a 0% credit card, the balance grows on you because you're not paying anything or applying anything towards the principal. So incredibly dangerous. But a very simple, very basic tool is to hit that monthly balance times 0.04 on your calculator. That's going to give your monthly payment. And work diligently in your budget to find those additional dollars to bring up that minimum monthly payment so you can pay off your debt sooner, cheaper, and faster. I guess sooner and faster are the same. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Question of the day, have you tried this? Have you tried something like this before? Or have you noticed, what is the percentage rate? That's the question of the day. What is the percentage rate of your minimum monthly payment on your credit cards? I don't need to know what the balance on your credit card is, and I don't need to know what the monthly payment itself is, but I'm interested to know what percentage you find on your credit card statement. And I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times it will be less than 4%. Banks, shame on you. All right, I will see you next episode. For now, as always, I want to thank Dr. Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, and Gary Vaynerchuk. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next episode.